Wait, where's my phone? Dadgummit. Oh, wait, never mind. It's here.
Hey guys, welcome to the Beardmigos. We
Oh,
are
we started?
back and evidently leaving our phones. Dadgummit. That was the intro
Well, that could have been a lot worse.
I
Let's
have
be real.
ever heard in my life for anything the three of us have done together. Oh man, it's good to be back. How are you guys?
Yeah, it's been a while. Like, I think we've absolutely forgotten how to do this. We've just been sitting around talking for like an hour about just complete nonsense. Who am I kidding? It's been great.
It's been the highlight of my week, let me tell you. Well,
If
speaking
only
of
the record button was on.
Is it not?
It is now,
Oh,
Okay.
we're recording.
but we weren't earlier.
So all of that being said, like we were talking about sports mascots, and some are really good, right? Some strike fear in the
Like Hoosiers.
no. And then there are some that are like, who's afraid of that? Like the Warford Terriers. Like who's afraid of a little ankle biting dog?
Hey, what if you have sensitive ankles?
I mean, I guess somebody our size, yeah, but normal.
So are we
people.
talking about good ones or bad ones?
Bad ones, like the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, ducks are pretty like. Why are you afraid of a duck?
Oh,
Here's
you
the
wearing
thing.
an Oregon shirt, Ben? I didn't know that.
Here's the
Although
thing.
I will say the actual mascot that runs around, he's pretty funny.
Yeah, man, he does all those push-ups. Here's the thing. Ducks are cute. They're adorable. And you do not want to get on the bad side of something that you think is nice or cute because low-key, they're crazy. Like, you've seen gooses go crazy on people. Geese. You've seen geese go crazy on people. You've seen swans go crazy on people. You don't want to see a duck lose its feathers on you. That's all I'm saying.
Look, the only ducks that scare me are the Mighty Ducks. Okay, which
Yeah.
by the way is a great movie. That
Yes.
both you can't go wrong.
Dude, when Disney Plus first came out, and like they had their selection of what was there, and they did not separate like what's coming soon from what was actually there. And I got so excited because all three Mighty Ducks were on there. I'm like, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm binging these movies, and all of them were like coming soon. I'm like, why are you in with the regular video library? Pet peeve.
Are they on there yet?
I don't think so. I haven't actually checked recently.
They are.
Apparently I don't care that much.
We're going to have a 3 Beardmigos watch party of the Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, baby. And we're going to show you
Quack, quack,
just
quack,
how
quack,
Mighty Ducks
quack.
can be. So that's Quack Attack, baby. So
But I
other
still
college
rest on the
mascots.
case that ducks are not scary.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
so what even is a Hoosier then? Like, I'm just sitting here thinking that they literally called themselves the Hoosiers so they can walk up to people and say, "Who's your daddy?" And that's pretty much it. Like, is that even a real thing?
Could you blame them if they did?
I mean, if that's the
cool
real
nickname.
reason, kudos, because I'm in.
I still don't know what it is. and it's
That's why
killing
you
me.
say, Big Ten, who's your daddy? No, really, who's your daddy? You know? And then everyone's like, oh, you're our daddy.
Not to
And
get on
like,
another tangent, but aren't there 14 teams in the Big Ten now? That kills
yes.
me, man. Kills me.
Well, it's
And
the same
there's
thing.
like 10 teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, there's also 10 teams in the Big 12. The Pac-10 has more, I think, than 10 teams, right?
And they're called the Pac-12 now.
Oh, okay. But they used to be the Pac-10. At least they
Yeah.
changed.
With the times. So, let's see. The St. Louis University Billikens. The crap is a Billiken.
I googled that one time, and it's something like a Dr. Seuss, like Seussical scary character.
It's like a little imp type thing, but like, why not just be like the elves? No, that's not good. There's nothing there.
Also, can we talk about the Blue Devils? Really? Aren't devils supposed to be red?
I mean,
Is Duke just dumb?
Counter. I think this one actually isn't blue fire hotter than red fire.
I mean,
So,
a man's got a
Blue
point.
Devils. Blue Devils. Now, if they were,
I just think Duke's dumb. I think they're colorblind.
and then they can't be so white fire is the hottest, but they can't be the White Devils because then we're getting racist there. So they had to stop it at Blue Devils, So
Ventura, man, that's all I thought of when you said.
yeah,
Quincy
Ocha and Quincy Ocha.
I guess we could give them a little bit of grace.
What's grace?
Well, that's a good question. Ben, what's grace?
Is that what we're talking about today?
Is it?
It is right now.
So, grace. I mean, there's
Grace.
So grace. That's
So
kind
grace.
of been the theme of our morning when we were planning out our grace talk, and then we would find ourselves like arguing about I don't even remember, honestly, like I don't even
Everything.
know what we were talking about, guys. Yeah.
Like
So
20
anyway, but then
different
we just
things so far?
Yeah, then we'd keep saying, so grace, we should probably talk about what we're going to talk about. Well, first off, there's that stereotypical thing where you tell someone the difference between grace and mercy, right? We could start off with that. That's always fun. Is that me or? Okay, that's me. Are you guys both frozen? Oh, you guys were both just sitting there. There's that thing that says like mercy is when you don't get something that you deserve, and then grace is when you get something that you don't deserve, right? Ever heard that? Did I get that backwards? No, yeah, that's right. Grace is when you get something you don't deserve. Why are you guys doing this to me? I feel like this is right, and you guys are both looking clueless.
That's just our normal face, bro.
I hate you guys. This is weird.
I'm trying to think.
That makes sense, right? All right, here. I'm going to read you a passage, and that's going to show why that makes sense. I always do this, and it doesn't show up. Romans 3. I had it highlighted. Doesn't matter. 22 through 24. We're made right with God by placing our faith in Jesus Christ. And this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are. For everyone has sinned, we've all fallen short of God's glorious standard. Yet God in his grace freely makes us right in his sight. He did this through Christ Jesus when he freed us through the penalty of our sins. So we didn't deserve that, right? We messed up and we did not deserve to be forgiven and have someone take our place. But they did. That was grace.
So could you say it again? So grace, so mercy is getting what you getting.
Mercy is not getting what we do deserve.
Yeah, and grace is getting something we don't deserve.
Yeah. Have you never heard that?
No, I've heard it. I was just being dumb.
I have not heard it, but I like it.
Oh, okay.
So like mercy is like if you get in trouble and I don't punish you.
Right. I deserve to be.
You deserve to be punished, but I give you mercy. And then grace is me giving you something that you don't expect, right? It's a surprising gift, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Grace is the gift of God.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's grace and mercy. There's two separate things. Right?
Or be like, yeah, exactly.
So how do we practice this in our everyday life?
That's a good question.
You should be smart and answer your own question.
Yeah, let's turn over to our correspondent, Andy.
Boom. Not a rhetorical question. Boom.
No, I mean, we all go through stuff every day, right? I mean, we're dealing with stuff. We're dealing with people, and sometimes
not so much anymore.
Well, not so much anymore, but let's think back to when things weren't quarantined and isolated. Back in the good old days.
Back in the summer of '69.
Yep. I mean, so like with us, we deal with Tim quite a bit.
Yes,
right?
we do deal with Tim.
And so there are some things that Tim does when we're just like, what's the game that he would play at Honey Creek that was just horrible?
So some of you guys have played Steal the Bacon, right? And normally Steal the Bacon involves like some form of like physical altercation to actually steal the bacon.
We're not just
never actually any bacon. You ever notice that?
If you played bacon, I would win every time.
Oh, yeah, you're getting the bacon away from me, guy.
Yeah,
when we played that in PE when I was a kid, I remember we always used like one of those big chalkboard erasers as the bacon.
Yeah.
You guys did too? Yeah. I always thought that was weird.
But remember when we played at camp last year and we used inflatables? And someone broke their glasses and got hurt?
Yeah.
So the bacon was meant to be played?
I was fortunately not at the bacon station. I was at the basketball court.
But yeah, so me and Josh, we never agreed with Tim on how he played Steal the Bacon. And while we told him about our disapproval, we always showed him that little bit of grace, let him run his game the way he wanted to.
Yeah, we didn't send him off out of the room and change everything. We let him do his thing. and didn't make fun of him too much in front of the kids.
I want to know how he played it. That was the wrong way. I didn't know there was a wrong way to play Steal the Bacon.
If you get the bacon, all you have to do is just tag the person that picks it up, and then it's over.
So yeah, these two people would just run to the center and they would stare at each other, and then they would wait for the other one to grab it. And as soon as they grab it, they'd tag them, and then it's over.
Is that not how you play?
No. You go until you get the bacon back on your side of the line.
You could like if I grabbed it, let's say we're using the chalkboard eraser. I grab it and then Josh follows me to the end and somehow rips it from my death grip, and then he runs back, which is hilarious to think of Josh running. But he runs back to his side and gets past his barrier, then he wins.
Yeah.
Whoa!
So it's like a physical altercation. It's like Red Rover mixed with like Steal the Bacon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played the Tim Rams your way. So we're gonna call that way turkey bacon, and then there's pork bacon. That's the way you guys play. I like turkey bacon better. But,
no.
But I like you guys' version of Steal the Bacon better.
Sir,
full disclosure,
turkey bacon is not real bacon.
Can you just give me some grace on this?
I had turkey bacon for the first time the other day.
Did you like it?
Well, I didn't want it. We didn't buy it on purpose, but Walmart.
It's the only meat left.
Walmart was like, well, we didn't have real bacon, so we'll give you turkey bacon instead on our pickup order. And then we had potato soup. And so Ashley browned up the bacon or whatever, fried up the bacon and chopped it up. And we put it in the soup. It was pretty good. I mean, it's not bacon, but it's pretty good.
I like it better.
People that eat turkey bacon and turkey burgers, man, I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Turkey's
Thanksgiving and sandwiches. I like turkey burgers better than beef too. I mean, I like all burgers. All burgers are great to me. Turkey burgers, pork burgers, even veggie burgers are good. But turkey burgers top the list.
I'm giving you so much grace right now.
You're getting if it wasn't for grace, we'd put you in a penalty box.
Really,
mute your mic and not let you unmute yourself.
Anyway, like I can't get outside of it. So, that's all I'm saying. Maybe you've already put me in it and you didn't realize it.
I can kick you out of the meeting. What?
You can send me to, that's what I always do during youth group. If I want to, if one of the kids is annoying me, not really, but I send them to the waiting room. It's great.
I know, I can do that. See, I have the power.
This is why Josh always wants to host the meeting. He's acting he's like, dude.
Where'd he go?
Couldn't have picked a better time to kick him out of the room either.
I'm going to show you guys grace by not making you search for another third Beardmigo. Just right now, I'm seriously considering it.
There's so much grace being shown in this episode, guys.
So much grace, man.
I'm starting to think we're masters of grace, guys. So.
I mean, can you tell the people listening, can you tell that we have not done this for a while?
But, yeah, Andy did ask a good question.
Oh, great.
How can we apply grace in our life? Ollie's giving me grace by not being mad at me randomly picking him up. How can we apply grace to people in our lives? This is a good question to comment. This is a good question to be thinking on as we go through this. Different ways we can show people grace. Or another cool thing is to think of ways that you've been shown grace in your life. Times where you knew you'd messed up and someone, your friend, your parent, your teacher, someone close to you, I don't know why I said teacher, as if that's people's next thought after parent and friend. But ways that people have shown you grace in life is a cool thing too for a growing.
To piggyback on that, if I look at all the people that have shown me grace in my life, teachers are up there quite a bit because I was not the greatest person to have in class.
Yeah. Were you a class clown?
No, well, depends on the class, but
yeah.
I think of my college Spanish class, my teacher would move me once a week. I would get moved. And finally, I just broke down and told her, it doesn't matter where you sit me. I'm going to find someone to talk to.
I'm talking no matter where you put me.
Then your teacher looked at you and your teacher said,
in which I can
so
talk to
grace.
Yeah. I remember the one thing I got out of that class was we were talking one day, and she wouldn't let us speak in English, and she asked me what I did on Sunday, and I couldn't figure out how to say I go to church. And so I was trying to flip through my book, and she was like, in Spanish, she was like, Andy, please answer the question. And I was like, and so all I could manage to say was I partied with Jesus. So that's what got me through Spanish was.
Like, hey, where's the lie, though? Do we not party with Jesus every time we...
I stand by that. Like, some people think going to church is sitting on a pew or a chair and just listening to some old man talk. Me, I go for the party. With Jesus. I go for the party.
Party hard, baby.
I actually am preaching in what I call big church this Sunday, and so I'm going to talk about partying with Jesus for a little bit. So it should be good.
You should definitely use that story as your intro. So yeah, you know what? Thinking about grace and teachers, one of the biggest burns of my life that happened was at the hands of a teacher. And I'm not saying I burned the teacher. I'm saying the teacher just roasted me into oblivion.
Man. Please tell us.
Fast forward to the end of the story.
No. Start at the beginning.
This teacher it was my best friend's mom, and I now call her mom when I see her. But this is how our relationship started. I was in her 4th grade music class.
And you got roasted by a music teacher?
Big time, man. She's been a lot of she's a seasoned vet in the teaching world. But she kept moving me like you, and everywhere I started off by her son, and we couldn't stop talking. So I got moved, kept talking, got moved, kept talking. And finally, she takes this chair. She walks over to the very edge of the classroom away from everyone, sets it up against the wall. She's like, there, that's the bin seat. Go sit in the bin seat. And then as I'm walking there, she's like, talk to the wall all you want. I don't care. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm just walking over. It was so embarrassing.
So what you're saying is you didn't get any grace.
Huh?
So what you're saying is you didn't get any grace.
Well, no, I did, because then through her grace, she learned to get over my annoyingness and love me. And now she's like a second mother to me. So
yeah, my band director, he was going off on me because I couldn't tell him the coordinates of my spot. And all he wanted me to do was say, I don't know. Like, I could point to the place on the field, like I'm supposed to be right there. But he wanted to know, like, the coordinates of the spot, and I couldn't tell him.
Marching spot, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where's their coordinates in music? I was very confused, but I don't know.
7, 6, 4, 12.
And so at one point, he's standing on my feet, holding my arms down, and then has his chin on my chin so I won't move the point to where I'm supposed to be. All to get me to say I don't know. And then once I finally said I don't know, I mean, there was tons of grace that we laugh a lot about it, but there was tons of grace because he was okay with me not knowing, right? He just wanted me to admit that I didn't know instead of just pointing at the spot on the field.
So I think it's important for us to spend a little bit of time just talking about how we've been shown grace as well, just by God too. Because grace really is the most important thing for our story and the story of God. Every time I think about grace, you guys like Reliant K?
Oh yeah.
The band? You guys know the song Be My Escape?
That's some good cereal.
Okay. But yeah, so the song Be My Escape has the line, it's the beauty of grace that makes life not fair. And that line has stuck with me all throughout my life, ever since I've heard that song. That grace makes life not fair. And it really is true, because grace isn't fair. Mercy isn't fair either, but grace is specifically not fair because it's something that you get something that you don't deserve. And we've talked about sin and our problem of sin and all of that before, but the cross is the ultimate act of grace. The fact that Jesus gave us his life as both mercy and grace for us, to give us the mercy to forgive our sins and the grace to take our place. And so it makes our whole life not fair, because when you think about it, right, we talked about it when we did our Good Friday podcast way back when, which seems like a year ago, right? It was our spot on the cross, right? We were supposed to die. But Jesus willingly took our spot. And we're called to practice grace in our own life. And so we want you guys to be thinking as well just about how do we practice that kind of radical grace, because it's one thing to have grace in stories, where like someone's mean to you, they forgive you kind of thing. That's grace. That is good grace. But grace is also drastic and radical. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's different scales of where it's needed. In grace, the grace that we're talking about, the real radical grace, is so countercultural from what we're taught in today's world. One of the first phrases you learn as a kid is, "That's not fair," and that's what we want in life. We're always fighting for what's fair, and that's what we think about when someone wrongs us. When we wrong someone else, what people want is fair. They want that person needs to be punished. That person needs to be put in their place. They need to have things taken away from them. And then grace is giving a second chance, giving forgiveness, despite that not being what is technically fair, which is something we don't think about enough.
Yeah, so I look at it, so many people want to go quote the Old Testament, where an eye for an eye, right?
Oh, yeah, eye for an eye, man.
Hey, that guy killed my mom, so I think he should be put to death. Or, you stole my video game, I'm going to steal your bicycle, or whatever it is. But we forget that if we wanted to go eye for an eye in that teaching, none of us have a chance in getting to heaven. And even more drastic, I think, than just heaven, like we have no chance at a relationship with Jesus and God, because they can't be around in perfection, right? And so if we were to, which is where grace comes in, by the grace of God, I'm forgiven and I don't have to worry about it. And so we've been given this grace where God has forgiven us, not by any merits of our own. We couldn't do anything to deserve that. So if we've been given grace that keeps us from not only an eternity in hell, but an eternity separated from God, then why can't we show a little grace to people who have wronged us? Now, is it easy? I mean, I remember as a young adult, and even now, like, if you made me mad, dude, I would hold that grudge. Like, I don't like to cuddle in real life, but shoot, I will snuggle up next to a grudge any day of the week.
Do we put that on a shirt?
Yes. But I just think, like, I've been afforded so much grace in my life, and I've been given so many chance after chance after chance that I have no business getting. Why am I holding this person to a standard that I'm not holding myself to? So that's the way that I've come to look at grace. That's the way I've come to think about grace. So
yeah, I do find it really interesting, the dichotomy, or what's a better word for dichotomy? Just the differences between fairness and grace. Because like you guys just said, our culture hates things that seem unfair. I mean, when you were a kid, there was no greater injustice than when somebody cut in line, like at lunch, at least for me. And if someone cut in line for lunch, I was mad. Like, that's not fair. They need to go to the back of the line, blah, 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 right? We love fairness.
We say as a kid, man. That still happens now, too.
I mean, now I'm the one cutting, right?
So,
but, it's this whole idea of we want people to get what they deserve so often, until it happens to us.
Yeah, we want people to get what they deserve, but we want what grace
Yeah,
should.
we want grace, but we want other people not to have grace. If they hurt us, if they wrong us, we want them to get punished. And yet we are so happy to receive grace. And I think that's something that we have to try and change in our mindsets to be more like Christ, right? To get past this idea of unfairness. Justice is a thing, and God is a God of justice, but God is also a God of grace. And so we have to be quick to forgive people that wrong us. That's grace, right? Even if they don't apologize, that's grace, right?
Well,
The Bible tells us, I just got one more thought, and then you guys can interrupt me, right? But the Bible tells us that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, right? He didn't wait for us to apologize. He didn't wait for us to ask him to die for us. He died for us first and then offered forgiveness, right? And so part of grace is forgiving people even before they come and say, hey, I'm sorry. That's mercy when they actually apologize. But grace is letting go of your grudges in advance.
Giving it, yeah.
Now interrupt me, Andy. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, Jesus even told us not to wait for an apology.
Yeah.
Well, what if one man slaps you across the cheek, offer him the other side.
Yeah.
Right? And we're not to wait for an apology. We're to forgive before the apology. Just like Jesus died for us before us asking. There's nobody that deserves grace, but that's what makes grace grace.
Yeah. What makes everyone, yeah. John,
can
you start talking so I can interrupt you?
Yeah. Okay. One of the hardest.
Anyway.
But really, one of the hardest verses for me growing up in high school, well, not in high school, like middle school, early high school, there's a Bible verse that says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And my mom would quote that to me whenever I got angry and say, vengeance is for God. And I was like, but I want revenge. But vengeance is for the Lord. We're called to have grace. Now, Ben, I'm going to talk again. Interrupt me, okay? Blah,
Okay.
blah, 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 blah.
This is hard. Okay, so, yeah, and just going with that, I'm not going to say, someone pointed out to me that we say piggybacking off that a lot, which makes me laugh, because I don't think any of us actually want to give each other a piggyback ride. I don't know.
My back would hurt.
Sounds like a rough day.
I think Ben's probably the smallest, so if anybody's going to get a piggyback ride, it should be him.
I don't know, though. I'm pretty good at giving piggybacks, too. I've got a picture of me giving two people a piggyback ride at once. So, and I think I could add a third on there. I was sitting pretty – anyway.
Okay, so give Andy and I a piggyback.
We'll do it. If we ever get to have camp again, I will give you guys a double piggyback.
We'll film it, put it on. It'll be on the web.
I'll start squatting and getting myself ready. But
sad boy hours.
I know, honestly, I still haven't – I hadn't even gotten over spring retreat not happening yet. Like, I was still hurting on that, and then – summer camp too, but rough times. Anyway, actually on topic. I don't know why I got so off topic there, but
grace.
Grace. So Grace.
Oh, Grace.
You guys are having a lot of grace with us just by watching, and we appreciate that. Just going
if
back
you're still watching, thank you.
Yeah, right. Like, man, these guys are crazy today. Actually, I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying the randomosity. Is that a word? Randomosity? Randomness? I like randomness way better.
It's just been a while since we've been able to do this, and we just get so giddy.
Yeah. So, but just thinking about the world we do live in, about what both Josh and Andy said is that people don't like when grace is extended. We want exactly what's fair first. Our culture is so cancel culture. And that there are things people can do where people, for the most part, generally agree, if you've messed up to that extent, you don't deserve to be able to come back from that. And we're human. We all get that way. I think that way sometimes too. And it makes me sad that that's just such an accepted way of thinking, because we've all done things that I think if people saw it in the wrong light would say, you don't deserve to be forgiven from that. And you know what? Maybe we don't. But Jesus looked at us and said, yeah, but they do. They really do. Every single person does. Do you guys remember the story of, I feel really bad for butchering this, but I think the guy's name was Botham Jean. I don't know exactly even how to say the name, but he was the person who he was shot, and he was in his own apartment, and someone had entered the wrong apartment and thought that someone had broken into their house and shot and killed them.
The police officer from Dallas.
And there were, I think a lot of people were ready to just say that person's canceled because they'd made a huge mistake. And who was it that gave them grace but his brother, who his brother gave her grace for what she'd done and forgave her. And honestly, I think anyone who's seen the video of that happening was probably just bawling. One of the most beautiful examples of grace you could ever see was if anyone had a reason to be mad, it was that guy and him, but he was the person who said everyone deserves some grace in their lives. I think seeing real examples of that, for me, that even adds even more on to what Jesus did, because so moved by these little examples. That wasn't a little thing, but so moved by these examples, and then to see that Jesus was willing to do that for every single person.
Yeah, something that I had heard a while back, but it never clicked until late February, early March. I was at a conference and I heard Deb Hirsch talking. And we often, as Christians, we like to label certain things as unforgivable. That's where we're going to draw our line in the mud, and we can't do anything about it. They're just lost causes. We need to remember that Genesis 1, that we're created in the image of God, came before Genesis 3.
Yeah.
The fall. And so I think if we could all just remember that as I'm getting the wrap-up notice, if we could all just remember that Genesis 1 came before Genesis 3. We all deserve a little bit of grace, or a lot of bit of grace, and love, because we're all made in the image of God.
This much.
So that's my final parting thoughts. So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
I just said this.
Huh? Go ahead.
Grace is hard. I get it. Grace is hard. It's hard, but we have to remember that we've been given much grace. I know I've been forgiven a lot by God and by people. So, yeah, it's really important to remember that even if grace is hard, grace is essential if you're following Christ. And it makes you a better person, and it makes you a better follower, and it just helps you love people better when you don't hold grudges and when you don't have to have everything be the way you want it to be. Just give people grace. Everyone needs it. Everyone deserves it. So give grace. Ben? 3
challenges. 1, do some studying. Read through the Bible and look through the lens of grace. Where was grace shown? How can grace be applied? Read through Romans 3 today on your own. I read part of it too. You guys go through and read that. Listen to the song Your Grace is Enough by Matt Maher. I think it encapsulates the power of God's grace, and it's just super good. And 3, challenge is someone out there, maybe us, needs to make a shirt based on what Andy said that says, snuggle up with grace, not with a grudge. Boom, because he said he snuggles with a grudge, and I thought that was funny. Anyway,
I'm gonna need that shirt if you could make me one, somebody.
I mean, you also got to choose the donkey, not the Ferrari, on a T-shirt. So
yeah, we got a whole line of shirts out of just awesome quotes that you can only get here.
Ben, I'm gonna need your wife to start doing this for us, man. She needs to be our merch.
I got some blank shirts over there. We'll test them out, and one of these days maybe I'll have a quote cool enough to make a shirt. So far, you guys have one each. We need to keep a running tally of who has shirt quotes going on.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, this has been the 3 Beardmigos. We're back. We'll be having more stuff. So we love you guys. Stay safe out there.
All right. Bye, folks.